and like into the body, because the feeling is the prayer. No amount of thinking things is any substitution for like how something feels, and then also the behavior has to change. But it's such an exciting time of the year because the majority of our students come in January, starting with the ritual. And at this point, they're all graduating. And we are, we're a school, so we're not trying to keep our customers around forever. We're not interested in, how could we have people here for 5 years? We want to graduate people as soon as possible. We want people to be in and out in a year. And it's always really cool to see how like everything comes together at the end, because throughout the course of these 12 months, my students and we've done so much inner work. We've done so much business work. I have had my eyes on them for a whole year at this point, seeing all of the little rites of passage that they've gone through, going through their childhood trauma with them, getting over the fears that keep them from stepping up and speaking authentically, the whole world of branding and content marketing, watching them sometimes burn down and rebuild a business, or building one completely from scratch, one that's actually built to last. It's really satisfying for me because like in the beginning, we get a lot of questions about like me, like what's blocking me? How can I be better? How can I do more? And then as we start to get to the end of the year, I can just tell by the questions, the questions all get very technical, it's like, well, what system do I use? Or what piece of tech do I do this? Or how do I file a copyright for a book? Or do you have a recommendation for an accountant? It goes from being stuff that's very like inner work oriented to the kind of questions that lets me know that they're like really in business. And it's such an honor to be able to say goodbye to the students. It's like this birth death moment, this like inhale, exhale, where I get to say hello to all the students coming in and being like, here we go, we're about to know each other. While also being able to say like goodbye to my students with just like the absolute fullest heart, knowing that I saved them a lot of time. So the first 2 years of business like almost killed me. I did not know it was going to be that hard. I didn't know it was going to take that much patience. I didn't know how long it was going to take for something to be profitable. There was nobody that had done what I was trying to do, and there was no one that gave it to me straight, that are like, look, it takes 2 years to become profitable. And that's 2 years from when you really start working it, not 2 years from when you're like thinking about starting. Let's say 2 years from when you start making your first post on the internet. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm about. DM me to book a session or whatever. This is, and a lot of people, if you haven't started actually putting yourself out there and being like, this is what I'm doing, you haven't started yet. But it takes 2 years to become profitable from that point. And when I was starting, my first job was like a health coach. I went to integrative nutrition after I graduated as a yoga teacher. I had done 2 different yoga teacher trainings. It just wasn't really cutting it for me. So I went to nutrition school while I was still working at a bar. And after that, that's how I got introduced to the world of coaching and learned different coaching techniques. But I was like talking to people about like their poop and stuff. And at that time, that was like really getting into it for me. That was what felt safe for me. But it took a long time. It took a long time to make it work. And if I had known that, I could have avoided going into a lot of debt, because I just thought that it was going to pop off, and no one had ever taught me how to think strategically about money. I didn't know anybody that thought strategically about money. The questions aren't complicated. It's just like, what's for sale? You want to make money? Okay. What's for sale? And what bartending shifts? Okay. What's your financial goal? Oh, 100K a year. Well, how many bartending shifts do you have to sell to reach that goal? More shifts than there are days of the year. Okay. So bartending's not going to do it. So we need to come up with another plan. And another plan is going to take time, but like at least fucking accept it, it's going to take more time. And then as a result, you're able to make more money. Let me just turn my do not disturb on here because I'm expecting a call here in just a little minute. So It was just, I didn't know that I had to face money head on. And I didn't realize that, like, if you're not facing money head on, looking it in the eye, you're running away from it. And if the money has the power over you, then that's just the bottom line. If you're afraid to look money in the eye, money has power over you. You're working for it. Money is inherently submissive. It wants to please you. It wants to work for you. But when you won't even look it in the eye and tell it who the boss is, like, how could this dynamic ever work? So many people are so fucking shit scared of money in so many different ways. So afraid that they're going to get paid and they're going to lose their food stamps. So afraid that they're going to get paid and they're going to lose their health care, which they don't even use. So afraid that they're going to make $500,000 and have to pay $10,000 in taxes. It's like, dude, like, don't be afraid of this more money, more problem situation is propaganda. It's not true. More money, less problems. More money, more fun. And the first level of spirituality, you're constantly trying to, like, prove to the world and to yourself and unconsciously to your parents and unconsciously to God that, like, you're worth it, because you think that if you're worth it enough, it'll, like, suddenly stop being work. Like, you won't have to work anymore because now you're worth it. The truth is when it comes to actual spirituality, when it comes to actual magic, you understand that it's just what you want. You can have whatever you want as long as you're willing to work for it. There's always going to be work. But if all you have to do is work for it, then there's no longer this need to prove yourself to anything or anyone, not yourself, not your parents, not God, not the universe, not your peers. All you have to do is honor, like, what is it that I really want? And if you really want to make money, it's not that complicated to put together. It's just a lot of people can't really accept that. They're so convinced that, like, if they were to accept it, that they would never get it. And that's just not true. But accepting that you want it is, like, the first step to getting it. So if any of this little, like, conversation so far has been interesting to you, we do have the free masterclass. It's going to be on Thursday, the 19th of December, 11 a.m. Eastern. We'll send you a replay the next day, most likely. The same day if I can get to it, but the next day, most likely. But we're really going to go into the correlation between spiritual growth and financial growth and the whole concept of good householder and why people cannot go to advanced levels of spirituality without a solid financial base, and why you can't really care about other people if you're struggling financially. You're kind of using them as a distraction from your own inner work, and how the obsession with how the collective needs to change is irresponsible. You're not really looking at what the next right step is for you. And the next right step for you is wherever it is that you're lacking the most. So it's a really fun masterclass. We had 800 people show up live for the last one. That was really cool. Stayed all the way until the end. We got, like, I think maybe 5,000 replays of the video, and we had a lot of students come in for ritual. So I'm really excited to do this again. And I'm going to be like, I'm most likely going to go into labor during this ritual. Most likely going to go into labor during this ritual. Our ritual wraps on, like, the 14th of February. I'm probably going to go into labor somewhere around the 4th of February, but I don't miss this every single year. And I was shooting something for Rama TV, for the Rama TV Festival, 24 hours postpartum last time. I know a lot of people are like, these postpartum requirements and you need a village. I'm so sick of all of this. Like, it takes a village. I remember this when I was talking about monogamy, and this woman was telling me, oh, well, it takes a village. You know, we don't have a village anymore. I said, girl, the term is that it takes a village to raise a child, not a village to satisfy your husband's sexual appetite. That's not what they're talking about. But everybody's always like, village, village, village. Like, there wasn't, since the beginning of time, outliers that are like, living in this city fucking sucks. Farmers, anybody that was into agriculture was not living in the fucking village. Like, there were always people, especially from my ancestry, the Nordics, the Scandinavians, the Irish, There were always people that lived on farmland out in the boonies and became really tough because rapers and pillagers were all over the place. But they're like, living in these villages are fucking gross. You have to get along with all of these weird ass people. What I'm going to do instead is move out to the woods and live in my little stone house and have a bunch of kids that help me. And that's going to be how we do things around here. So there's always been outliers as well. And I'm kind of like a perpetual outlier. I grew up in a cult, you know, I just hate group activities. I hate waiting on other people. Everyone's like, oh, the village. Yeah, it's all fun and games in the village until you stop getting along with someone in the village. And then it fucking sucks to be part of the village, and it fucking sucks to get kicked out of a village. Like, village my hole. Love you, Omani. So many people call me Omani, and my assistant's name is Saraswati. We have these alter egos. It's Onami, like on a mission. But a lot of people call me Omani, and they call her Sarawatsi. So we call it our alter egos, Omani and Sarawatsi. Like if we're like giving somebody the business, which is, you know, happens a lot. Happens a lot, like the guy that just paid $200 hoping that there would be nudes on my Safehouse score. I said, bro, that's on you. I'll be keeping this as the convenience fee, but yeah, you're blacklisted now. Should we get into some Q&A, you guys? Let's do it. Hi, mommy. I did the ritual in August because I just joined your school. Can I do the ritual again in January, or is it too soon? Thank you. So once a year is good. It's always really fun to do ritual together as a group. But what I want to see from you is what impact has ritual had on your financial game plan? Because there's no point in repeating work if it's time to implement work. We're here to get you results. You can do ritual at any time of the year. It's really fun to do it as a group, but basically no other work is going to stick as long as you have money blocks. So trust that you did it at the right time. Send me a message by going to the top of where you found this Q&A thread, hit messages, send me a message, and tell me what the financial game plan is, how I can best support you at this time. Because if it's about sales and not about vision, then we probably need to get you in a sales workshop and not just in a vision workshop. Ritual program is $499 if you want lifetime access. It's a 40-day workshop, but we do it fresh every year, so lifetime access won't be like your favorite thing. A subscription to the school is $200 a month, which means that you would have within $400 of investment in our school. You would be completed with ritual with 20 days left over. You get access to all of the workshops as well as Q&A, which is what you guys are listening to right here. This is where the questions are coming from. And you would have 20 days to browse other workshops. You could do another workshop simultaneously, me as your guidance counselor. But I'm warning you, the reason why, if you're like, fuck me, that's a good deal, because you don't need lifetime access to this if every year you're going to hear me talk about doing it live and you want to be a part of it. You're going to want to do it fresh every year anyway, and you would only have access to that iteration. You wouldn't be able to come year over year. But if you're like, oh, fuck me, like that's a good deal. Why is it like that? It's because our client retention is amazing. And I know that after you do one of my workshops, you're going to want to do all of them. So it's never a gamble for me to offer it cheaper with way more service, even though it's way more work on me, because like, results are really important to me. I feel a responsibility as a teacher to not just like dump stuff on your lap. And so 90% of people are going to come in at school, but 70% of those 90 people are going to end up staying. So you mentioned that in Fuckless that great lighting is important for content. Any tips on shooting video with great light? So I'm always in front of a window. Natural light is the best policy for that. Any tips on shooting videos in a more natural way like you do? Make it informed by your human design. The reason why my videos are magnetic, why they do really well, is because I'm leaning on what comes naturally to me, and I know what off-brand sounds like for me. So I'll give you some examples of what on-brand is. I'm here to be observed. So my videos really started to pop off when I had my husband shooting me all the time. Was it easier to go on selfie mode? Obviously, but this little bit of extra care added a level of like importance. Like I am someone being observed. I'm an important person. My husband is also here to be an observer, and so that was really useful as well. And it actually trimmed out a lot of the like riffraff as well, that, you know, the people that really wanted me to start like an OnlyFans page. Something else is that I'm a generator, so I'm off the cuff. When I'm inspired to do it, everyone's got to stop everything because mom's got to shoot a video. Something else is that I'm here to be shocking. So you'll notice that there's always a lot of times there's a much more shocking caption on my video than the content is actually about. Like, that's on purpose. I definitely put care into that. All of my videos are informed by a customer avatar. So I'm not making what I like think people want. I've really thought about and gotten to know that customer, and then I just deliver exactly that. And they seem very in the moment, but based on what you're teaching, strategic and planned. Yeah, of course, that's based on my customer avatar, and you learn all about that in Fuckless as well. Things that I avoid is being shocking just for the sake of being shocking, being provocative because I thought of a good zing. It's much better for me to make everything a teaching, or at the very least make things funny. Otherwise, that doesn't work. So that is my thing. Any tips on being inspired by a creator's content while not duplicating their style? I like your natural Q&A style. I want to let it inspire me and authentically create content. So a Q&A style is just as much the style of the questions as it is my answers, but I'm a generator, so I'm here to respond. Q&A works really well for me. I'm always in the mood to respond. You can give me a question at any time of the day and I'll be like, oh, cool. Like, I can respond to that because I'm a generator. So you're a generator as well. Q&A is always going to be on brand for you. But like, if you were to be ripping off my Q&A style, all of your customers would have to be ripping off the Safehouse students Q&A style. So Q&A is perfect for generators. And if you want some practice with that, you know, start with Instagram stories. This is how we do it. You guys want to hear something that's amazing to me? I did post this on my stories, but the guy that wrote the song Baby Got Back, Sir Mix-a-Lot, has been making royalties off of that song since 1992. His income has only gone up from royalties for that song because he owned the publishing rights to that song. It wasn't with a label. Hi, I'm a 1-3 generator. Regarding posting, any tips to get over the fear of being seen? And read my book, Fuckless. It's free. Go to mommyonami.com/fuckless. Same for the person who says any tips for reflectors. You'll see how much care we give to reflectors in that free book. Go to mommyonami.com. You can go over to workshops, or Fuckless, spelled without the U. I can change that now because TikTok won't flag. TikTok used to flag me for having the word fuck in a URL. They actually banned my TikTok account my TikTok ad account for 10 years. But for reflectors, I think it's really important to know of other reflectors that can help you to see how this could work for you, especially their relationship with automation and consistency. Teal Swan is a reflector, which makes a lot of sense. But basically, when it comes to reflectors, all the information you need is behind you and not in front of you. So a lot of times you're going to be tempted to look for a mentor and be like, can you tell me what to do, where to go? And the answer is going to be in you reviewing your own data, what works, what doesn't work. Going through Enneagram and pause to do Fuckless Express, because so much of what you share is a new world for me. Yeah, we don't usually recommend that people do Enneagram first. Most people want to because they're like, it's a secret to your everything, right? It's like, yeah, but unless you feel it, you're not going to get it. So if you do any other workshop in my catalog, you're going to feel it. And then when I explain to you how it works bit by bit, you'll be like, oh, because you have all of this real life experience to compare it to. But, you know, I don't gatekeep. If you want to come in and do Enneagram first, like, go ahead. But this is, I have to summarize the question here. Do I share all the sides of me with the world? I'm a 2-4 generator. How do I teach and sell that? I'm a single mom as 4 boys. So when it comes to, I'm sorry, I have to summarize the question a little bit because I I couldn't really see what the question was in here. So how I'm summarizing this is it safe to share all sides of me with the world? I have all these different sides. For a generator, whatever you're inspired about is the best possible thing that you can be posting about. A generator is here to respond. So if that's responding to your parenting life, if that's responding to something you've seen in the news, if that's responding to something that's exciting to you, whatever it is, as long as you're inspired and energetic about it, it's going to be magnetic for people because that's what they're there for. Now, if you had two really unrelated business, let's say that you owned an auto body shop, but also you want to talk about spirituality, I might really think of, do we want to make it the spiritual auto body shop, or is it time to venture off on a new path? We would cross that bridge when we get to it. You would send me a really good, clear question. My auto body shop is doing great. Should I mix it in with my spiritual branding? But there is a place for everything. And as a generator, you're here to put out the quantity, it's not the quality. So what I would recommend for you is getting in the practice of posting and deleting the app without looking for feedback. If you're inspired about it, it's a hit. If you're not inspired, don't look at the comments, don't look at the approval ratings on it. If it felt inspiring for you to do, if you were hyped about it, if you were energetic about it, then it works. Also, as a 2-line, you're really here to show what it means to be you, how you get good at the things that you do. All of this is covered in the Fuckless book. Hi, mommy. Hello, everybody. I launched a shadow work course and it went great. One of the elements of the first week is a completion process you taught us in the Root Chakra Week in Wheels. Some people are having good experiences. Some people feeling super overwhelmed and depressed. How do I prevent this? How do I deal with people talking about suicidal thoughts in the past as a part of trauma release, but not the present? I mean, this is just what it means to do shadow work with people. This is just what it means to do shadow work with people. All kinds of stuff are going to come up. You're asking people, a therapist would deal with this with somebody, but that's just the nature of doing shadow work. So just because it's happening to them doesn't mean it's happening to you. Just because they looked into their past and found something that was disturbing doesn't mean it's your fault. They're getting what they came there for. And that's the beautiful thing about the root chakra process. It's such an old process from the Rig Veda. You're not saving anything. You're not adjusting anything. Nothing really happened. You just ask them, hey, remember this? And they're like, shit, I do remember this. You prompted them. When was the first time you ever felt this way? They told you. We didn't say it was right or wrong. We didn't say it was good or bad. We didn't try and fix it. We didn't try to save them. But if we didn't do any of this in the trauma process, don't try and do it for them now. All you want to do is give yourself that arm's length to be able to see the patterning, how interesting the patterning is between what's happening, what happened with them back then, and how they're still behaving in this way now. And you can always just ask them. You don't have to do emotional labor to put this together for them. All you do is ask them, so what patterns do you see when you review this memory? What do you see? But that's just shadow work. It's never going to be as easy as affirmations, but it definitely gets a much bigger result. Hey, it's so nice to see so many people on YouTube showing up consistently here on Fridays. Seems to be something that you guys are looking forward to. And I gotta say, I was really looking forward to showing up here as well. I stopped putting this on TikTok just because it was like starting to ban my whole account. Literally anything I said, TikTok would get offended about. My dad was an abusive alcoholic who abused me in horrible ways. He no longer drinks and just smokes weed. My partner sees him as a harmless old man. I get angry at myself for feeling empathy for him. I'm not sure whether to forgive him for everything or honor my younger self. I completely understand this, and it's really frustrating when your partner or your siblings or whatever, really like your boyfriend or vice versa. This is something that nobody else should answer except for you. Do you like being around your dad? Is your relationship with your dad giving anything to you, or is it really just about making him feel comfortable and guiltless with the choices that he made? If you didn't have to make that annual trip for Christmas or that phone call on Father's Day and his birthday, would you want to? Would you be happier? Do you like doing these things? Because You can choose the level of contact that you're going to have with somebody. If your partner has any measure of respect for you, you can be like, look, the more this person is in my life, the less happy I am. And I'm not into it. That wasn't cool. I watched a really cool TikTok one time where the lady says the price of not taking accountability is no contact. It's okay if they don't want to take accountability, but the price that they're going to pay for that is no contact. And some parents just refuse to talk about things like this. And it's like, that's totally fine. I understand that this makes you uncomfortable, but just because this makes you uncomfortable doesn't mean it didn't happen, doesn't mean I have to pretend that it didn't happen. And you can refuse to face this all you want, but the cost of not taking accountability for you is going to be that you don't have a role in my life. I'm no contact with basically all my family because they really don't like what it is that I do for my career, like at all. And have actually, but when I look back on my history with my family, when I think about the amount of violence, the way that my siblings spoke to me, the way that my siblings treated me, even in the wake of like my fiance dying, when I think about the nature of our family, that it has never really been a loving or hospitable place, that nobody's ever really gotten along unless you're under the same roof as them. I stopped blaming myself for why the family dynamic was what it was, and was able to see clearly that my parents made choices and created a family culture that was not conducive to love and was not conducive to growth. Like, none of that was love. My parents did not have the capacity to love me. They didn't know what that meant. They didn't care. They had too many children in too short of an amount of time, and they just didn't care. That wasn't their priority. They were in a situation where they were having kids and just dumping them into a cult and not having to raise them. That was just the way that they were. But man, it was way harder to be contact with my family than it was to be no contact with my family. There's not been a single person in my entire life that I've gone no contact with that I missed. Because what are you going to miss? All those awkward holidays, all those calls you weren't getting, all that love you weren't getting. Tolerance, like, chances are you review these relationships and realize that these relationships were never about you. It was about alleviating their guilt. Maybe they should feel a little bit of guilt. Maybe that's natural for their process. So you decide if you want to be in a relationship with your dad or not. And then tell your partner to act accordingly. And if they can't do it because it's like, oh, there's a father figure I never had, then they've got fucking problems too. But you get to decide what level of contact you want to have with your family. And if it doesn't make you comfortable, don't do it. Now, if you very much do want to have contact with your dad, then I would recommend doing some serious forgiveness work around it. Forgiveness work is also grief work. You can do a painkiller on him, or if it's a substantial thing, you can read the book Radical Forgiveness by Colin Tipping, or you can do the full grief recovery method and spend 7 weeks processing it, and you'll have a relationship after that. Or you won't. But forgiveness is acceptance, accepting that the relationship had ups and downs, that the relationship was fucked up. And then you can decide after seeing the truth of it, not, oh, he was so great or he was so evil, but the truth, he was great and evil. He was beautiful and he was terrifying. Once you see the truth of the whole relationship, you can decide if you want to be a part of it or not. But any partner that respects you at all will go along with what it is that you say in regards to how much contact you want to have with them. And if they push back on that whatsoever, then that person is just going to be a repeat of your dad anyway. Oh, question I love. I feel like every time I step towards a goal with my husband, we get propelled apart. Am I too hard-headed and determined to stay together to see that we shouldn't be together? No, it's just hard. It's just hard. And the thing is that, like, if you guys, they have to see like what's in it for them. They have to see what's in it for them and the vision. Because like, if you analyze other areas in your life, like other areas in your life with your husband where things are really easy, it's probably because you guys don't really have to communicate about the vision. You just like want the same thing. But when it comes to like a new vision that maybe they aren't fully on board with, if they can't really, if there's not so much leverage where they're like, I'll fucking die if I don't make this vision happen, then it's kind of like pulling teeth every step of the way. And honestly, there's like kind of nothing harder than working with my husband, but my husband is indispensable to me. And honestly, if anything happened to me, I don't want it to be that he would have no idea how to run the business. It's important to me that we model this for our kids, the family business, that we teach our kids how it is that we work together, and that we're role models for not reverse patriarchy, which is called a matriarchy, but models for really like an integrated home where everybody has a role and we're all pursuing a common goal together. So that's really just, and you guys haven't even started ritual yet, which is like the screener for erotic wealth. But it's not like these are tests that you guys have to pass together. But be happy that this is coming up right now, because you can really ask him, like, look, when it comes to the big vision, the big strategy, the long-term vision for everything, do you want to be a part of this, or would you rather me just like develop the system and you become the implementer? It would create very clear me boss, you employee roles. You might not feel like you have an equal say, but you wouldn't have to do all of this work getting into the nitty-gritty with me. If you would not like to do something like this, then are you willing to put in the work to help me draft a vision that works and to return and recommit to this vision over and over again? It's tricky. Doesn't mean that you married the wrong person. And if you ever want to know if the erotic is dead and the relationship is salvageable, or if you actually married the wrong person, look at what drives you so crazy about them today, and then review the first time that you guys met or the first date you went on. Basically, when you first consented, said yes to, spending more time with them. Were these same behaviors present, and did you think they were cute back then? Because if they were cute back then the erotic's just dead. They've always been like this. Nothing's changed. If those behaviors were not present back then, either they've changed or you've changed. And if they've changed or you've changed, it's time for a serious conversation, because you're like, look, maybe I didn't sign up for this on these terms. Maybe you didn't sign up for this based on these terms, but these are the terms now. So what do we do about this going forward? It is not unfair. And this is really directed to everyone out there that was in a sober partnership and then their partner started drinking or something again. It is not like unreasonable if they were sober when you met, that's what you consented to. It is not crazy to say, I want who I signed up for. You're allowed to change when it comes to little things, but when it comes to values, when it comes to what we stand for, when it comes to what we believe in, this is not a decision that you get to make alone. You don't get to decide for me if I'm in sober partnership or not. No, you don't get to decide for me if I'm in partnership with an obese person or not. When we met, you were into fitness, it's not unfair for me to say, listen, I understand, but this is what I signed up for. And who you were when you cared a lot about your health is different than who you are. And I still care about my health, and you don't care about your health, and it's starting to create problems in the relationship, and I haven't changed. If you haven't changed, it's a no big deal. Okay, let's go over here and let's add some more questions. So I see that a lot of you guys have questions here This Q&A is just for my Safehouse students, and I have a lot that I'm learning how to manage more and more every single day. So I have to just kind of keep it to people here. Hi, mommy, working fuckless at point 8. One person signed up to my email list and nobody attended my webinar. What are some alternatives to getting feedback from the customer in this instance? I would just review for yourself, where did you get the idea for this workshop? Was it customer informed or was it you informed? I ask my customers like literally everything. And I'm also aware of like if people say, I want to work with you, but I'm too broke, that is them telling me indirectly that they don't have enough money. That money's a problem. Therefore, I'm going to be doing a money workshop next. So you can always just review what it was, where you got the idea for this in the first place. Hi, mommy. This is the question that I'm really excited about. Hi, mommy. Could you describe, explain, and define discipline? Yes, I can. Discipline is the ability to do something even though it's hard. It's the ability to not quit just because something gets hard. It's the ability to forego instant gratification in exchange for eternal bliss. It's the ability to not just commit to something, but recommit. It's the ability to see a vision for yourself that's bigger than who you are right now and hold yourself to that even though it's difficult. So an exercise I really like from a Capricorn, my Notion coach, Daryl O, who's amazing. She taught me how to use Notion, but it was like a CEO boot camp of learning how to take the scramble in my head and be someone that people could help through a combination of technology, standard operating procedures, and just being not doing the same work over and over again and expecting it to get easier, but really becoming somebody that could be helped. But we would define things and then there are obstacles. So the biggest obstacles to discipline are quitting before, just being like, I can't, getting emotional about things. Obstacles to discipline are not having really like skin in the game about like, I will be so fucking miserable if I don't do this. Not having solid commitments and just being a whiny bitch, basically. Like, I will whine and bitch about things that I think are negotiable, but if something's not, I never whine about, I'll whine about going to the dentist, but I've never like whined about birth ever because I gotta do it. If I gotta do it, I gotta do it. If I gotta do it, there's no point whining about it. I don't whine about doing the dishes. I don't whine about putting the groceries away. I don't whine about things that have to be done. I just fucking do it. But if I think I can get out of doing something, I will really whine about it. So make it decide that it's something that you have to do. And what I would recommend is Tony Robbins' process for finding leverage. And leverage is like you create a heaven if you don't, hell if you do situation. So there's basically like, it's either 4 or 5, we'll find out once we get into this, but 4 or 5 areas of life where you think that you're somehow benefiting from procrastinating or not taking action. These areas are the financial, the physical, the emotional, your close personal relationships, like your friends and your family, and then also your relationship with God. So you would ask yourself, if I changed nothing and stayed stuck here, what would happen to me physically? What would happen to me financially? What would happen to me emotionally? What would happen to me in my close personal relationships? And how would this impact my relationship with God? And then reverse it. If I did change everything, what impact would it have on me in all of these categories of life? And really go into it, really see how, what, if this was happening to you physically, what do you think would be happening to you emotionally? And for the woman that's butting heads with her husband and wanting to find out if he has skin in the game or not, this is also a useful answer for you as well. So I'll make sure to tag you. Anyone ever listen to Throbbing Gristle? We need discipline. Throbbing Gristle, the original industrial band. Genesis Peorage, Pre-Psychic TV, Cozy Fanny Tootie. Very interesting, goth shit. Let me find that lady thing so I could tag her here as well. You will also like this. You'll like this as well. Okay, here we go. Is there somewhere that you list or walk through the tech stack that you utilize for Safehouse? Yes. So this is written in detail. Go down to business resources. You're going to love that area, both of you. We definitely go over tech stack. We go over Zapier. We go over hiring. We go over hacks and all of that. All of that is in business resources. And if you've never explored that in the bottom of your workshops area, you're going to love it. Yes, you sure will. Because we have quite the tech stack. Yes, we sure do. Do you think, sorry, I've scrolled up quite a lot here. Do you think people who are paranoid about the CIA or government being out to get them or believing God is bad stems from learning parents aren't safe as a child, a higher power out to get you in as a child, there's not much you can do? No, because the parental relationship is the root and the cosmic or the greater entity relationship is the crown chakra. Now, you don't have to take this from me as Bible. If this question is bothering you, this is a good question to work out with yourself and with your students. But the CIA, government, and aliens are all different words for the same thing. A big force that sees you, you can't see them, knows everything about you, has dirt on you. And then, to bring it to Einstein's quantum question, do you think the CIA, government, aliens, God likes you or does not like you? For most people, they think that whatever these forces are, don't like them. I'm not parent. If aliens came to Earth, I'd be like, you're my homie. If God came to Earth, I'd be like, you're my homie. If the CIA showed up at my door, I'd be like, we're homies. Like, I don't, I don't think that these things don't like me. And this is an open crown. But the root is the parents, the crown is God. Guys, okay, you guys want to know my new pregnancy food obsession? So we went through our creamed spinach phase, right? And from the creamed spinach phase, we also learned that creamed collard greens are so much better than creamed spinach because they have so much more texture. You walk those suckers in the blender just for a second just to get it like juicy. So we went through the creamed spinach phase, but I am in like a very hardcore BLT phase right now, you guys. Oh my God, the best sandwich ever. I had 2 for breakfast this morning. Hi, mommy. How do I get over the anger of people not finishing the work they sign up for with me? My kink must be disrespect or control. So I understand this completely, but the fact will help you to kind of cool down on the feelings. The fact is that 10% of people finish digital workshops. And this statistic to me was so disturbing because I'm like, you guys, I fucking finish every workshop that I started, fucking paid for it. Duh, I'm going to finish it. Or at least know when I'm done with it, when I'm like, okay, cool, I don't have any more, and I take that off of my list. It's not like lingering over my head where I'm like, I'm cooked. Like, for example, I did Wuda's Art of Tea workshop, but I have no interest in actually like brewing tea. So I did the whole philosophy of tea and stuff with him. But like, I gotta be honest, you guys, my fucking American palate, right? It all tastes like water to me. I'm like really trying, I'm like they're holding my little cup, unless it's like one of those teas that's like so flavored up with like rice or something like that, bro. It all just fucking tastes like hot water to me, which is fine. I can be present with a cup of hot water, but like, that's just what it tastes like to me. But God bless everybody else, and God bless everyone that can like taste the difference as well. Good for you. I probably just worked in kitchen for way too long, but I really was disturbed by that fact. And so that's why it's really, my whole school exists to help people implement and not just learn. And I give people really solid disclaimers, and it's not like black magic. I'm not just trying to tell them, scare them out of doing things otherwise, but like every workshop we teach besides Empress and School of Unified Spiritual Laws, which you guys don't see me launching because for me, I'm like, these are entertainment, educational purposes, but they're not actually a process. It doesn't say you're going to start here at point 0, point A, you're going to end here at point 9, and we will accomplish this in this period of time. But all the ones that are backed by magical processes, I'm really adamant with people of like, look, like there's no going back to 0 once you start this. You really do need to see it through. And a lot of people don't, but that's not on you, that's on them. So the best thing that you can do is bring that horse to water and do your best to, try and make them drink, but you can't force it. But this bother to me about only 10% of people finishing workshops is what led to my onboarding system, is what led to consistent Q&A, is what led to objective Enneagram-based workshops, is what led to having a 1-year program, because I was just really started to become obsessed with helping people finish things, because it's just idiotic to expect a trophy for starting anything. That's idiotic. That's stupid. That's retarded. That is literally not moving forward mentally in space. That is going backwards. That is going in the opposite direction. To feel any type of entitlement about deserving a reward for something you didn't see through. Anybody can start something. You're a manifesting generator, you know that. Anyone can start something, but it takes a lot of discipline to be able to finish something, and a lot of people don't have that. As a manifesting generator, you can tell people, bro, if I can finish it, fucking anyone can. How are you feeling tonight? What are the characteristics of a manifesting generator? Can you heal someone if their subconscious is resisting the healing? On the surface, they want as they are struggling a lot, but deep down, they don't seem that they're ready. What to do in this case? So manifesting generator, you can learn about in my story highlight called Human Design. And can you heal somebody that doesn't want to be healed? No. So I sent some red flags for codependency on the top of this second question. No offense. People do usually get offended with anything codependency, and it takes them like 3 months to kind of absorb it. But why are you trying to heal someone who's resisting the healing? And have they solicited this from you, or are you trying to fix someone? Because if they solicited for it, and we go all through this in Wheels Reinvented, if they solicited it from you, it's going to be easy. The right moment is going to come up. But if you're trying to heal somebody that's not expressly asking to be healed, like that's a you thing. And best to check it now, because it does get really sloppy down the line. She might not like that. But just so you know, we have a workshop as well called Cracking Codependency that you can see. It's an old workshop from my first career, but you might like it. Very triggering, but you might like it. Sometimes you just have to, it's like, technically, if I were to break this down word for word, you didn't specifically say anything codependent, but it just feels, it just feels a little codependent. And that's what teachers do, is they like, how does something feel? Especially in a world where so much is texted, where people are like, well, technically I didn't say anything wrong, bitch. I know what it feels like. Is abusive behavior unhealed trauma? Yes, abusive behavior is usually coming from unhealed trauma. Tolerating abusive behavior is also coming from unhealed trauma. Unconscious manipulation could be caring if conscious. Maybe, that's for you to answer. Ask yourself that question. Could unconscious manipulation be caring if conscious? That's the question. But yeah, most abusive behavior, abused people is 99% of the time how it goes. I looked at my conscious Jupiter, but I'm not sure how it relates to money. I'm gate 37. Positive side is strong family bonds. Negative side is sacrificing yourself to make sure the family stays together. How would this relate to money? Would the family circle in this context be my customers? Yes, the family circle in this context would be customers. So like I said, I don't have all the gates memorized, and what I do if I was getting this information, like I didn't immediately read my conscious Jupiter gate and say, oh, I get it. I literally just read the same thing over and over, slowly digesting it bit by bit, comparing it with like other people who wrote on the topic until it started to make sense to me. But how I think that this could play out, let's say you were teaching a whole bunch of people about money. Let's say that you were leading the ritual. On the positive end of the spectrum, you're like, when we all do this together, we can make it work. But on the negative end of the spectrum, it's like, oh man, if one person didn't do it, it's my fault. And that's not true. Most of the time, I don't answer too many human design questions because it's really for you to explore. And I don't do human design readings because that's not my area. Still deep in the money wound work, have so much clarity, physical responsive fear, and all that it triggers is so present. Any advice for unplugging or disconnecting further than that? So action, no amount of thinking cures fear. Fear is coming from a low place. I'm thinking is coming from a high place. Action cures fear. So what are you afraid about? Are you triggered about money because you don't have any of it? Well, how do you want to get to work? List 3 action steps that you could do to solve, get more clarity or more perspective around what it is that you're scared about. And you're not going to be scared anymore, but you're scared when it's unknown, when it's like the easiest way to get over fear is to take action. And because fear and guilt both come from the same chakra, it's way easier. It's the root chakra. It's way easier to just change a behavior than try to stop feeling guilt about it. It's way easier to take action than to try not to be afraid of something. Always, always, always. Hello, finally found out how to create passive income, autoerotic module for Homeless One, thinking I could benefit for Fuckless. So Fuckless is going to get renamed in the new year, like the complete guide to passive income, because all things passive income related are going to be coming from Fuckless. Autoerotic is for people that have usually already established passive income. And truthfully, in the new year, I can't gatekeep and tell people you're not allowed to take autoerotic if you haven't done ritual and fuckless. But what I am going to say in the new year's is like, I'm not fucking checking your homework if you haven't done ritual and fuckless. If you don't have a money vision and you don't have a money strategy and you're not used to generating income in your business, I'm going to end up doing like 3 times as much work in autoerotic with you, which is really just going to be me sending you to go and do these workshops that I like told you to do in the first place. So in the new year, I'm not going to be working with people unless they've actually taken those 2 workshops as a prerequisite, because it's just a more advanced language. If of course they've already established this on their own, then, you know, of course they don't need to do that with me. What I'm going to have you do is just let me know. There's Fuckless Express, which is if you have not built a platform at all for your work. You would do Fuckless Express, which is not building a sales funnel yet. It's just getting basic launching down. And then once you have basic launching down, you can build a sales funnel. You're not repeating anything. You just kind of pick up where you left off. But if you do have a platform, then full Fuckless is the way to go for that. You're always going to get a better result on autoerotic if you've done Fuckless, and as long as you're not in chastity, you can definitely take a break on autoerotic and go and do Fuckless in the meantime. I think you said you just did the homework for module 1. I would actually stop autoerotic altogether and just do Fuckless until it's right. If you need more assistance on this, just feel free to send us a message at the top of this channel where it says messages, and yeah, we'll get you going there. Do you think as an online group coach, I need a business TikTok account to build a brand awareness, or would a normal account suffice? I think that a business account is great. When I got my business account approved, it was a lot less like paperwork and shit like that. I think that if it's too annoying for you to do all of this right now, especially with a potential TikTok ban, we'll see if it actually happens or not. If something has bipartisan support, it's usually like, oh wow, they definitely are all. If they're when both sides are agreeing on something, you say, oh wow, and this is the real get down right here. It's like no accident that TikTok became really popular, and like so many people are like casual communists now. It's a very interesting algorithm. It's very interesting times to live in. But if it's a lot, like if it's so much paperwork and like verification and stuff like that, you can always just start with your regular personal account is fine. I think the main advantage of a business account is just being able to have a link in your bio, but I'm not really sure if they have that option or not. All right, let's see how we're doing here. We're almost done here. Wondering if Enneagram is ever a clock of minutes. The Enneagram is always a clock of moments. The Enneagram is always going to be a clock of moments. And it can be hard with like one-on-one calls as well, because you have to kind of keep them on a schedule. But a lot of time, you know, 0.3 is going to shake them out regardless. They're going to need more time at 0.5. They're going to need more support at 0.8. Like it's just kind of the nature of it. But you know, life gets in the way sometimes. When I'm teaching Enneagram-based work, flexibility is kind of a must for me, because I don't want to come in at the wrong moment. But also that's unique to my coaching style as well, is that I really hated having a super expensive session with a coach when I like wasn't in need. I would have much preferred, you know, we end up talking about some bullshit. I would have much preferred to be able to show up and get, you know, assistance when I actually needed it, not talk about something unrelated. Consistent, yeah. Yeah, she says, my consulting packages are 3 months and consistently clients have some sort of big reaction at week 4 or 5, exactly at 0.3. That 0.3 is no lie. You know, I'm so happy that you're so familiar with the Enneagram now as well, because like 0.3 is for real. Like I have seen the strangest shit go down at 0.3. And it's really funny too, because like the severity of it is like, how long have they been ignoring these cues for? If they've been ignoring them for a long time, then the reaction is usually something really huge. And you're like, dude. I've seen some fucking crazy shit happen. Hit by a bus, forgetting your dog in the car and it dies. Like, fucking crazy shit. Crazy shit. Start a new social media account because my previous had some blocks. Now I'm freaking out because I lost all my following. So a lot of times people do this, and when people are wondering if they're asked if they should start a new account or not, I'm like, are you comfortable screaming into the void? Because a lot of people are not. If you're going to scream into the void, do it on a completely new platform, and at least then you'll be learning a new creative style. But it can be very hard to go shout into the void, and a lot of people, you know, are afraid of being shadow banned and blocked. And like, I've been officially shadow banned. You know, I've sat there next to people while they tried to look me up on Instagram, and it says this account doesn't exist, and my account sure as shit existed. But it was also really hard for me to let it go because I didn't want to shout into the void. It's really hard to shout into the void. I would recommend venturing onto a new platform and making better content, like objectively better content. That's what we teach in Fuckless. Objectively better content that is informed by your, yes. Do you have content about how to publish on Amazon while in the meantime waiting for Onami House to launch? So the authorship is as close to Onami House Publishing as you're going to get, because Onami House Publishing is telling you, do it for your fucking self. No one, that it's not worth it. Don't hire anyone to market your book. Don't hire anybody to publish your book. Don't cut in all of these middlemen. The only way you're going to make money with the book is over time. Make sure you're not cutting people in. Don't be in a fucking cumbia band where you get a sick wedding gig, but you have to split it with 12 different band members. Don't do that shit. It's stupid. You're not going to make money off of it. Don't go with a publisher. They're going to discontinue your book and you've lost the ability to make money off of that book. And right now, authorship is in addition to Safehouse. So it's an additional $20 a month. Go to mommyonoma.com/authors. You can be a part of it there. But when you guys start seeing the rollout for my old book, Leave This Book in Your Bathroom, when you guys start seeing the rollout for this, you're going to be like, Mommy Onomi's fucking sick at selling books. And if you were on authorship, you would have seen the behind the scenes the entire fucking time. The ups and the downs, the dead erotic, the going back and forth, the neutral time, the I don't want to do it, and the full email archive is there as well. We have a cool newsletter going out on Sunday as well. There's newsletters every Sunday on the authorship. But yeah, people are like, I want you to publish my book. I bet you fucking do, dude. I bet you fucking do. I bet you'd love me to read your human design chart, publish your book, and take care of your kids. But I only care about these as it relates to me. I only care about fucking my human design. I only care about my authorship. I only care about my book being published. There's this absolute epidemic in the world. I'll add this to hers. There's this like epidemic in the publishing world of all these people saying, you're a writer. You shouldn't have to market yourself. Give me 80% of your paycheck and I'll do it for you. I'll be God fucking damned if my publishing company says anything like that. My publishing company is like, get off your fucking ass and go to work. Make a book launch, make a sales funnel, apply the same business tools that any other passive income product would use and just apply it to books. Duh. But it's duh now. It wasn't duh before, but it's like, why are we treating the most Chanel, and by Chanel, I mean, it doesn't go out of style, this like iconic piece of passive income, why are we treating it so disrespectfully? By just letting people take a cut of it all the way down the line or stop publishing it when they're over it. Like, how many books are you planning on writing in your life? Stephen King and Danielle Steele, like 120 books. You want to do that? I fucking don't. I fucking don't. We'll see how many books I write in my lifetime. Oh, posted this in autoerotic Q&A, but I'm not answering questions there anymore. Actually, I am not supposed to be, but I was going to do it this week anyway. I'm at the point of the workshop where I'm supposed to be acting out my unconscious kink, but I really want to do it with my boyfriend and we are not properly together. until the end of the year. Can I go on with the other lessons, or is it better not to? Thank you for reminding me. Actually, I was going to stop answering questions for autoerotic this week, but I'm going to do it next week instead. So I am going to come and answer questions there, and I'm going to keep checking homework in the homework chat as well, because I have so many late enrollees. They can just ask me in the chat. You can either do it over the phone or you can do it in your head, but you're an autoerotic. So autoerotic does not require a partner. If you really want to do it with your partner right now, over the phone, simulation, visual, Zoom, however it is that you want to do that, but autoerotic doesn't require a partner. Okay. Song Ritual, you offer a percentage when we bring in new clients for you. Is that still a thing? No, it's not. We don't do an affiliate program anymore. We did it really briefly, but like ultimately I'm not trying to run an MLM, and it was a way of just trying to say thank you to our customers, but now we don't really need to say thank you to our customers because we just try to over deliver our service the whole way through. So no affiliate system, no. No, we don't. It was actually such a pain in the ass as well. How to induce this healing session. Make sure that they've solicited a healing session. So this is a follow-up. But when they have solicited a healing session, you can ask them, what would you like to talk about today? And that's how I usually, what's the fear-based story from your past that's blocking you? But you want to have a consensual partner for this. If you're not having a consensual partner for this, then you can do what we call dosing, but it's really just waiting for the right moment when somebody's telling you they're feeling. You don't want to be a fucking narc with people. Having somebody that's consenting to a healing session is going to be pretty key. But if someone's talking about something that you now recognize as them describing the top end of a trauma, I just feel this feeling in my chest all the time. You can just ask them, when was the first time you ever felt that way? But they have to do the majority of setup for you. Like, they have to already be talking about it. The same lady that I was like, there might be a little bit of codependency on this. How do you know if someone is your soulmate? You know somebody is your soulmate because you would never ask anybody if they're your soulmate. You're just like, yep, even if God told me to dump this person, I wouldn't do it. That's how. There's somebody that you don't want to change anything about. Just exactly the way they are. You're like, yep, out of the box. I'll take you. That can be a really weird thing to experience as well if you're so used to everybody coming with like the need for a little bit of streamlining, or like, you would be great if, when somebody is just good to go out of the box, they're good to go out of the box. Best piece of advice for hiring a VA. All of this is in Business Resources FAQ. We have so many different answers on this, as well as tech stack and all other things. Just go to the workshop area, scroll all the way down to the bottom, go to Business Resources, and you'll see the VA stuff there. It's via audio. I think there's maybe 6 minutes of audio altogether about practices for hiring actually anybody. And it's tea. And it's tea. Any thoughts about Mars retrograde? I don't really get down with astrology, Mars retrograde, Mercury retrograde, anything that makes me, I follow my inspiration, and I trust that wherever the fucking planets are, if I'm inspired about doing something, I'm inspired about doing something. I'm not freakier on the full moon. I'm only free. The only fucking impact that the planets have on me that I'm aware of is that I'm a total cum slut when I'm ovulating. And other than that, that's it. I'm usually ovulating on the new moon. So that's what I got. That's what I got. Somebody on here with a username, A History with Whiskey, joined. And what I'm curious about is, what does a future with whiskey look like? Does it look the same as a history? And how you feel about that? If I could accurately predict what the next 20 years of your life would look like because it looked like the last 20 years, would you be like, sold? What's your recommended way of tracking clicks and downloads on a Google file you've linked in your bio? For me, do you use things like Bitly? No, I process all of my lead magnets and orders through Thrivecart, which has its own like tracking software. But I don't even usually look at that. I just look at email signups, and I do my best to keep my newsletter list very clean. But no Bitly. And actually, like, understanding how many trackers it was going to take me to be able to gauge if advertising worked, like how many sales actually came from advertising, and realizing that I'd have to put like Google and Facebook pixels basically through every stop of the funnel. I was like, fuck this shit. And then luckily all my ad accounts got banned before I could even use that, because I'm just a international woman of controversy. Something's only controversial if you've never heard it before. If it's like news to you, you're like, oh my God, that's so controversial. But like, I live in the world of paradox. I'm a esoteric teacher. So like, I'm always seeing multiple sides to an argument. Nothing's really controversial to me at all. But yeah, luckily that stopped me from doing ads before I even started doing ads, because now I'm like, ads are a total waste of money is how I feel, basically. All right, guys, just a couple more questions here. Because I have just a couple more questions here, I'm going to do my last question here. And when I look at you, I'll answer one question from Instagram. I'll answer one question from YouTube. And I answered YouTube first last. This time I'm going to answer Instagram first. Manifesting generator, how do I focus on what to share when I have a lot of things I'm interested in? It seems to change often. As a manifesting generator, go with what you're inspired about. Whatever you're inspired about is always going to be a good thing to post. It's always going to be exciting for you. Whatever it is that you're inspired about is the best possible thing that you can be posting. And as you start to expand your product range, where you really need to be able to keep the focus on one thing at a time, when you get to that part of Fuckless, which I think is lesson 3, where I talk about having a note going in my phone all the time of all the different content ideas. As somebody that's here to respond, if you write these ideas down, even if it's 8 months later, you'll be able to you'll be able to get inspired fresh and respond to that again. Do you think ads are a waste for someone just starting out? I definitely think that ads are a waste for somebody just starting out, and here's why. No amount of advertising is PR. Advertising is like a desperate attempt to get people to care about a business that has no reputation. If you are deploying ad spend onto a business that has no reputation, people don't buy from people they don't know. People don't buy from people they don't know. So unless you have like a t-shirt company that's priced in a way that doesn't require trust, so like $20, they don't have to trust you because it's not a solid investment. Unless you have a super low ticket product that people don't have to think about, and a book actually doesn't fall in that category, because it takes trust for people to buy a book. It takes like as much trust for people to buy a book from you as it, because it's time commitment. So what they're not spending in money, they are paying for in time. So the trust still has to be there. I definitely learned this the hard way. But I really recommend, if you are interested in advertising, I recommend doing some research first. The first one is, it's 2 books by the same author, and you can decide in which order you want to read them. The author's name is Al Ries, Ries. This 2 books, one of them is paper, one of them you can get on audiobook. He got really famous with a book called Positioning, which is all about understanding your positioning in the market and how to use that to your advantage to get more mileage out of your ads. After teaching about advertising for literal decades, this guy wrote a book called The Fall of Advertising and the Rise of PR. And it is such a good book. And it just goes into really deep detail about how like ads are very good for brand awareness, but they're not really good for sales. Like, for example, Coke spends all of its ad spend on brand awareness. That's a Coke, that's a Coke, that's a Coke, that's a Coke. Everywhere you turn, it's Coke. And it's basically paying for popularity. This is a very popular drink choice simply because you've seen it around all the time. Now, in his book Positioning, you know that you could capitalize on that real estate by saying, oh, it's like Coke, but with natural sugar. I'm Hanson Sodas. Like Coke, but with natural sugar. And people go, oh, it's like that. Okay, wonderful, because Coke has paid for all this real estate. I know what a Coke is, but I also know it's loaded with a bunch of fake sugars, or maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't know it was loaded with fake sugars until somebody told me this is like Coke, but it has natural sugar. And you're like, oh, I get it. So there's a lot of ways to be really intelligent about advertising, and intelligent about advertising is not boost post. That's just like for people that want to feel like they're doing the things. No intelligent business is using this like boost post thing. It's not leading to anything. But how I read these books in order was Positioning first, and then the rise of PR, Fall of Advertising. If I was doing it over again, I would read them in reverse. So Positioning you can get on audiobook. The Fall of Advertising, The Rise of PR is only available on paperback. It might even be out of print because publishers are ridiculous. But I would really think about that. But people don't buy from people they don't know, and that's just the bottom line. YouTube, I'll take a question from you now. If you want, go ahead and type it up here, and I'll give you guys a second. I'll answer one more from Instalala over here. Jovian Archive, you can get your human design. That's true. Hi. What if we have reviews or before and after pictures of work? You're better off. I mean, I don't know. That's for you can check that out. You can see if it works for you. Basically, the idea to use advertising or not is going to be like one of the biggest questions that you're going to answer as a business owner. What I'm here to change is all of it. When people tell you there's only one way to do things, and I was really told there was only one way to be successful in business, to delegate my kids. I was also told, I see your question, Allie, and I will answer you in just a second. I was told that advertising is the only way to grow a business. I was told that hospitals are the only places that you give birth. I was told that you have to vaccinate your children when they're small. And my whole thing is like, if you don't want to, you don't have to do shit. There's plenty of evidence in the other direction. But to me, I'm not trying to be in an 80-20 business partnership with big tech. A lot of people are like, if use the investor's mindset, like if you put in $100,000 on advertising, you're going to make $120,000 back. Yeah, as long as you get along with like Facebook. But that's also a pretty hefty fucking business deal that I'm cutting in. Do I want to be 80-20 partners with Facebook? Am I sure? I'm a punk, like I don't really. Where can you learn more stories about my life? So my soft white underbelly video is like the official, kind of big video on the matter. I did a podcast recently and I was very happy when my Wi-Fi went out because soft white underbelly was like interested about the actual story. This podcast, I think, has had a kink for abuse because it was like, what were the spankings like? It's like, that's a really fucking weird question to ask, That's a really like weird, what do you mean? What were the spankings like? That's not what I'm here to use my airtime to talk about. How did your parents join a cult? I'm not here to talk about my parents. But I felt like the soft white underbelly was really nice. And you can watch that. That's just about everything. Should I have a separate page just for the kids brand and keep my personality for my private life? That's a question that you're going to have to answer. But I do think that when it comes to like just a kids club, people a lot of times prefer the founder's Instagram to the brand's Instagram. So for example, Emily Weiss and Glossier, Kim Kardashian. Glossier has grown 80% over the last 3 years as well. I love Emily Weiss because she's like, you guys can't cancel me. I don't give a fuck. This is my business. You're not going to cancel me, period. Nobody can cancel you, especially if you're like, sorry, just because you want me to abdicate my throne of my $1 billion business that I built all by myself doesn't mean I'm going to fucking do it. Eat shit. You can't cancel me. And just didn't flake under it. Sophia Amoroso is still like trying to defend like the girl boss movement. It's like other people got offended at your business and you let them tell you to step down. So easy to be in the limelight. So easy to be in the limelight when everyone's like, you're a prodigy, you're the best, you're Forbes 30 under 30. Then you get a little bit of criticism by law. And it's like, I quit. Quit being such a bitch. Why? Because people on the internet said mean things about you? Because your comment section was crazy for a couple months? Please. It's the fucking internet. Girl boss culture. It's taking personal responsibility for like every first time female boss out there. Get real, Get real. So I thought I love Emily Weiss because she's just like, you can't cancel me. But a lot of times people love the founder's Instagram a lot more than they love the brands. But if you're selling physical products, I think it's important to just have basically your whole Instagram be putting that product in your face. I feel like people want to hear more of your crazy stories. Like you should do story times on YouTube. Yeah, my book is My book is going to cover a lot. I might do some story times for my book when it comes out. Actually, that could be really fun. I could tell people that might be a fun thing to do for my launch. I'll write it down, but it would be for a specific thing. Like I'm not here. I teach, I have a full-on career that's teaching people about future and their future. It's a lot more relevant than talking about my past. So, but if you think people want my story times, you should see how many people heckle me to bring Intuitor season 2 back. That's what people are really hungry for. But ultimately, like, I have my commitments. My business is like one of my children. So my commitments are to my family and to my business. My business is my students. I have 400 students in Safehouse, right? Actually, a little bit more, like 450, because we've been getting a lot more students. By the time we kick off Ritual, it's going to be 700, 800 students. It's going to be busy January. My husband, if I have this baby in the middle of Ritual, I'm going to have to be doing it with my little fingers quietly while my husband has to do the ritual for both of us. I'll still be there checking homework and stuff like that, but my husband might have to take over the physical aspect of it if I'm, busting out a baby. How can I let go of a fear of losing loved ones? Your fear of losing loved ones is just your brain's fucked up way of letting you know how much you love them. Like basically the only time you can really feel how much you love them is when you think about what it would be like to lose them. It's just an upper limit problem, but if you start, I think the quickest way to get over stuff like that is to just recognize what it is. This is your brain being like, it's easier to fantasize about losing them than to accept that your heart is busting so full because you love them so much. And, if you think it's bad with siblings, wait until you have kids. All right, you guys, this is a wrap for Q&A today. I want to thank you all so much for coming here. I was really looking forward to this. Please don't forget that the Wealth Masterclass is next Thursday. Super exciting. And love you guys so much. This is the best. And I will see you guys next week at some point on Friday. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for being here. And I will see you next Friday. Bye. Bye, bye, bye.